Hello, this is operator training for the VTL35. We'll start off in the cab here. First thing we should look for is for the logbook, which should be filled out every day. We'll do a pre-check later. This should be filled out by every operator that's going to use it on that day, and it's a daily requirement. Date, time, who signed it out, and that you're happy with the pre-check that you've done. Always recommend this to be done in the yard. If it has any faults, there's a fault page in the logbook which can be filled out. This mustn't be undertaken by the operator who finds a fault. It must be undertaken by a professional mechanic. On the rear section you have the maintenance side. Any maintenance or repairs should be filled in this section, and this book should be kept with the vehicle at all time. The front page should be filled out, which this one isn't, to all the details, ID numbers and everything of the boom that it equates to. On the front you have the checks that you should be doing, or you can look in the operator's manual, and they will have a list of checks that you should be carrying out daily in there. On the rear is the owner of the machine should be checking these on a regular basis as well. So that's your logbook. You've also got an operator's manual. This will tell you the operations of the machine, and it should be completely read before you start operating this machine, so you know how to operate it. If you do forget, you can flick through here and it will tell you different sections of how to operate the machine. It's very informative. Tells you all about the screens, and so servicing, schedules, etc., etc. That should always remain with inside the vehicle. And then you have your service manual, which goes over parts, different parts if you need parts to be ordered, and their servicing requirements. So they should be in the machine. Okay, just to run over the truck itself, you have all your information up here, ensuring legs are stowed, check deck access steps before travel, and your traveling height. You should check if your vehicle is compliant with your COF and registration, and also this is a LV rated vehicle, and this needs to be made sure it is compliant. So it should have a LV test and a 6 monthly. You should find those either paperwork in the glove compartment or a sticker on the back window. Just going over some of the controls here. You have your beacon controls here, switches the beacons on and off. Work lights, again, switches them on and off, and then your PTO engagement is here. For correct PTO engagement, you need your handbrake applied. You should have it in park, and it's always recommended to put it into a four-wheel drive low, just to make the suspension more stable. You also here have a axle lock. Okay, now what we'll do is we'll do a pre-check around the vehicle, and then we'll fly it as I'm satisfied. Okay, for our pre-check, I like to start at the front of the vehicle. So your wheels and tires are part of the stability. So check your condition of your tires. Make sure your wheel rims aren't damaged, and your wheel is tight and secure. You have a pair of outrigger legs, one each side. Make sure there's no damage to these. Should move. Should be no leaks. And you have bolts on the side here, which are showed to be torque sealed. The torque sealed, if it's not broken, means that the bolts are tight. Here you have your hydraulic oil. This should be checked first thing in the morning before it's warm and on level ground. And it should show the hydraulic oil should be in the gauge just below the high level and definitely above the low level. This area should be kept clean at all time. You have your ID plate up here, and you have your certifications up here, which are duplicated on your rear window. In this box here, you have your lower controls and enough cable on here to walk all around the vehicle. Your lower controls, which I will explain more in detail later, are for rescuing an operator who may be stuck in the bucket, we have no controls up there, or is incapacitated, or to do servicing on the machine. This should never be used if the operator is capable of positioning himself from the basket. Check for damage around your slew area, any oil leaks. There's a beacon up top there, check for cracks and damage. And you're just having a visual around here looking for oil leaks and any damage on the boom. You have covers on the front here. Under these covers, we'll be going through explanation later of the valves and how to do manual recovery. Torque bolts on the pedestal. Again, they are torque sealed. If these are out of lines, it will show that they have been loose and will need replacing. Again, down here, you'll see critical bolts, which again been torque sealed, just for ease and quickness of inspection. You then inspect your rear wheel, make sure your tyre is in good condition, your wheel rim has not been damaged. This vehicle has only got 2 outriggers, but it's got an axle lock. The axle lock must be applied initially, which gives you some operations of the machine, which I'll explain later, or you can use the axle lock and the front outriggers as well. It gives you more range of the machine. You have a toolbox in here, put all your tools, equipment, etc. Make sure this is locked and secure. Coming around this side here, a night light, solar panels, so when it goes dark this will brighten up on the side of the road. You have to park it outside. Have a pair of wheel chocks each side, and you also have a heavy stabilizer pad, which you should be used on all applications. We'll be setting up with this later. Make sure these are with the vehicle and secure. Work light on top of the toolbox. Checking around this area, make sure there's no damage. Everything is nice and tight and secure. Then coming around to the rear of the basket. No damage on the basket, no cracks. It's all secure. There are bolts under here, which have also been torque sealed. Coming around this side, we have decals on the side of the bucket on the door, which gives you the information. It's insulated to 1 kV. It's 2-person only. It's got your maximum wind speed, bucket capacity, maximum height, etc. Just make sure this is none of this is missing. You can read it. Again, same with your danger signs and your responsibility sign. The door, a check on the door, as this should close on its own. So that's a check. I will be going over the basket controls shortly. Again, check the security of your wheel chocks and stabilizer pads on your passenger side and around your rear area here, making sure there's no damage. Around the boom stow area, again, making sure no damage. You have an earthing point around here. Critical bolts, make sure they're aligned. Then moving on to your toolbox this side, security. In this toolbox, you have, make sure you have your ladder with you. This is for easier access into the basket. Again, I'll be showing you this later. And you also have an earthing lead, which goes to your earthing point and then into a spike into the ground. Just ensure that your toolbox is nice and secure and locked before leaving. Check your rear wheel. You check your tyre, your wheel rim for damage and inflation. Moving along, you have a fire extinguisher in here. Make sure it is in date and it's been tested. There you have an option switch for basket controls or lower controls. Usually you'll leave this in basket controls because everything can be set up from basket, the control area. putting your legs down, axle locks, etc., which I will run through shortly. Checking the bolts around here, critical bolts here again, alignment, no damage around the front jack. Step is nice, handle to stepping onto the deck is nice and secure. Finishing up around the front wheel, check your tyre again, no bulges or anything in the tyre. Your wheel rim is all nice, no damage, and your wheel is secure. On the front here, you have two small flashing lights which come on when you operate the PTO, engage the PTO. Just make sure there's no damage around the front. And that is basically your pre-check before you leave the yard in the morning. Each morning before you leave the yard, check the hydraulic oil level. Make sure you're on level ground. The oil level should be just below the high mark. This one is a little bit high, and definitely above the low mark. So that's the first thing you should check before leaving the yard in the morning. This is your selection switch, and it will normally be on your bucket controls, because everything can be done for your bucket. In the event of using the lower controls, this must be switched to the lower controls here, and now I can go around to the other side and do an emergency recovery if required. Okay, I'll just explain the lower controls, or the surface controls. Like I said, this has got plenty of cable on it, which you can walk all the way around the machine. The controls here, you have an emergency stop. To check this, just push it down, it should twist to release. That will kill the engine and all hydraulics. You then have an engine stop, an engine start. These do not need the use of the dead man, which is this symbol here. All other operations will need the use of the dead man. To activate the emergency pump, which is this symbol, you press the dead man and the emergency pump and whatever option you wanted. So that's a check in the morning just to make sure that one works. The raise button here, again, you would need a raise and the dead man, again with the lowering button for the boom, lower and the dead man. Extension and retraction, again with dead man. You have a jib on this which will raise up and lower down, again with dead man. You also have a bucket tilt in the event of rescuing an incapacitated operator. You can lower the boom down from the service controls and tip the bucket over to rescue your operator or to take debris out, and then you can correct your bucket to as level as possible before proceeding on work. Again, dead man. You've got your boom rotation. The boom rotation is 420 degrees, so it goes just over the cab both sides. Again, with your dead man, you need to do this. So a quick check is to make sure all these buttons press in and return out. The emergency stop presses and releases, and everything works. This is a pre-check you'll do before starting the vehicle. Once you've done that, we can now start the vehicle and make sure everything is operational from here before we have to get into the bucket. So I will start it. The engine is now running. Now raise the boom, dead man and boom raise. Extension to the boom, dead man and extension. Raise the fly boom, dead man and raise. I'm listening for unusual noises, oil leaks, or unusual judders. To tip the basket, dead man then tip, and correct again. Rotation, dead man, rotation, dead man, rotation. And then we can put the basket down. If I'm satisfied that everything is working from the controls, I'll try all the opposite ones. That is my fly boom in, dead man and retraction. and then lowering of my boom, just ensuring that my arrows are aligned there before I lower it. And then engine stop. I now know all these controls work, so I can use my machine in confidence. Okay, I'd like to explain the screen. When you're starting up in the morning, you'll see this screen. The power's on here, nothing is running at the moment, and it tells you what you can and can't do. You can see all in red. There's nothing you can do. We cannot raise the boom whatsoever. So I'll explain when we go through this screen. We'll do different functions, and you'll see the arrows turn green, telling you that you can do that function. The little cog up here, if you press that button there, it gives you your brightness, which you can go OK, and you can adjust your brightness, so you can come down or go back up. And then once you're happy with it, you go OK, and it will select that. Moving down, you can change your language. We speak in English in this country, so I'd leave it on that one. And then you've got your ramp profile, which is quite important. So get ramp, put OK. Now your ramp, if you find that your bucket is actually carrying on too much, that is because your ramp profile is low. So that's why you'll see these are set quite high. You can go OK, that will change and save your settings again with your end ramp as well. Okay, and then escape out of that one, pressing the escape button. Then you can escape again, go to the next one. This one here will show you if you have any error logs, so you can go in there, press OK, and it will show you some error logs. This one is pretty good, so you can escape out of that one. The next one down is your hour counter. Press OK, and it tells you how many hours the machine has done. Escape out of that one. The next one down is just an information about your system. So it just tells you all about your system. So you escape out of that one, and then you have a timer. So if you wanted to time the amount of work, or when we're setting the booms, we tend to use this. You go in the timer, you press OK, it will start doing the timing. Press OK again, it will stop. Press OK again, it go back to 0 and start counting again. So that is your screen there. Now what I'll do is I'll start the machine up, and I'll explain some of the other functions of this machine and the functions you can do in certain conditions. Okay, to set up the machine, first of all, what we've got to do, we'll start the machine up. Machine is now started, and now before I can do anything, I have to put in my axle lock. So make sure the switch is in the boom position, and then you hold against the spring-loaded switch into the axle position. On the screen here, it will give you instructions of what you should press. So it's indicating this joystick with the dead man and to pull back towards me. You will hear that the axle lock is now engaged. I can release all this, and now you can see on the screen I have limited functions. So I can raise my boom. So if I raise my boom up now, which is this lever here, again using the dead man, and raise the boom up. Now you can see the arrows on the screen, so I can retract, I can lower, and I can lower my fly jib, and I should be able to, not yet, when I get high enough I can rotate. So I can now rotate and I can extend. So to extend, which is fine, I cannot lift my fly boom up because you see it's red. If I rotate clockwise, it will allow me to rotate to the side of the toolbox, and now you can see my rotation has gone red and I cannot rotate anymore. I can only rotate back to where I've come from. And this is just with the axle lock engaged. Now from up here as well, I don't have to put the machine down. I can now engage my legs. To engage my legs, I put this switch to the leg position. The screen comes on to showing this truck with the legs which aren't down. To put the legs down, look at this one here. If I want to put both legs down at the same time, I hold this one and pull it towards me. The legs will now deploy. And the legs are now down. And if you look on the screen, you can see that's got the legs are now deployed. If I wanted to make a slight adjustment, I can hold this lever to my right and up, pull this lever back, and it will do the driver's side leg. If I wanted to make an adjustment with the left leg, put it over to the left side, and again, pull this back and it will adjust the left leg. Now I go back to my EWP position, and you can see I have all motions what I can use on the EWP. My fly jib, extension, total retraction around the boom, so I have full movement of the boom now. I'll just explain the upper controls and a pre-check. You have the joystick here with a dead man on the front. This is for your boom raise and extension. So to raise your boom, you'd pull up. To lower it, you'd go down. To extend it to the right, and then to retract it to the left and continue pushing the dead man on the front. You have all the details here on the front. Check that, make sure they're not damaged, and also check your boot here for any splits or damage to that. That should always return back to neutral. You have an information screen here, which I will talk about later on in the video. And then you have your joystick here. Your joystick here will do your rotation, clockwise, counterclockwise, again holding the dead man at the front, and your fly jib, extension and retraction, again holding the dead man at the front. Both these joysticks are also multifunction. They do your axle lock, and they do your leg operation. This one does a leg operation for single leg at the front, which I'll explain, and it also tips your bucket as well. Again, make sure these decals are okay and you can read them. Moving on, you have an information screen here. I shall go through that in more detail later. You have an emergency stop button. Press that. It should lock down. To release it, just pull it up. This one isn't a twist and release, it's just a pull up. You have some switches here. On normal application, it will be in your EWP boom mode. To set the legs, you need it pressed down into your legs. To set the axle lock, it needs to be in the boom position. This is a spring-loaded switch, which you need to activate towards your lock position, and then you would activate your joystick on the right-hand side as indicated to unlock and lock your axle lock. This must be done before you can set the legs. Again, we will go through that later on in the video. Your next button here is for your auto stow. This unit has been fitted with an auto stow, so if you're up in your basket, rotated around outside the home position, you can hold this into the auto position, again using this joystick, the right hand joystick, and the dead man, pull towards you, and it will carry out an auto stow. Again, I will show you this later on in the video. This will retract your boom. It will swing you around, bring your fly jib down, and stop over the home position for you to take a visual. You will then release, do it again, and you will hear a beep. It will then put you in your home position. Once you're at home, you can release this and push again while still holding the spring-loaded auto switch, and it will pack up your legs and undo your axle lock. Your next switch along here is your emergency pump. This one works by holding it down. The emergency pump is used when your engine on your ute has stopped or run out of fuel, or there's a problem with the hydraulic pump on the engine. This one has its own separate hydraulic pump and will recover the boom. You need to have 30 seconds on, 30 seconds off for cooling, and then 30 seconds on until you or the operator is down to the ground. If in an emergency, you would do this all in one hit. Your last button is your stop and start. So to the green, it will start, and then to the red, it will stop. And then it should return back to a neutral position, and then just check around your boot, make sure that's okay as well. And that is your upper control checks. In the event of an emergency, you can always press the emergency stop, which is just press down. It will kill the engine and it will start an alarm, so everyone knows there's an emergency. You also get a notification on your screen. To release the emergency stop, just raise it up. Okay, I'll just go through the correct setup procedures. So first of all, we need to do an axle lock. Hold this one forward, pull this one back, go for our legs, pull our legs out of the crane position, which needs to be in for the axle lock, hold towards here, and then I can do both legs at the same time. This one, wait until they hit the ground. You don't want to raise your front of your truck up too much, because you'll get a rocking effect. So the front wheels really need to be on the ground. You have an inclinometer set here that wants to be to near zero as possible. So to do the fine adjustments, I can alter a leg by pushing over onto my passenger side, and then I can just make that adjustment on there to get it as near zero as I can, which is about there. Now I can raise my boom, put the switch back in the boom position. Using my boom raise lever, I can go forward, pressing on the dead man. This will raise my boom. Then I can rotate out to the side. All my functions are green on my dash, so I've got every control. Stabilizer pads are underneath my outriggers. Wheel chocks are on my wheels. So this is the correct way of setting up and operating of the machine. To carry out an auto stow, you must press and hold the auto stow button, which is against the spring, and then on the screen it will indicate that I need to pull and activate this one using the dead man. So it will raise the boom. If the boom is too low, it'll raise it to the auto stow height, and then it will slew round, retract the boom and retract the fly boom and get into the home position. So it's raising the boom up. It's now slewing in and retracting the boom. It will get over the home position. It will pull in the jib, and then it will beep. It wants me to view to make sure I'm over the home position, which we are. I'll release the auto switch, keeping the other joystick in, and then I'll reactivate it. It will then take me down to the home position. Once it's in the home position, it will beep again. So I'll release the auto, keeping the joystick in the position, and then press it again. It will raise the outriggers, and then it will unlock the axle lock. This is now completely auto stowed with the axle lock unlocked and the legs are folded away. So in the event of incapacitated operator, I will switch to lower controls on my panel around the other side, and now I have full use of this control unit. Everything is used with a dead man, so I want to retract the boom and lower him. So I'm going to press the dead man in here, and I'm going to retract the boom. You can see the boom is retracting. I can fully retract this, and now I can lower the operator until it's right back into its home. If required, I can tilt him out of the bucket, as shown in an earlier video, and that is how I can recover my boom from the lower controls. In the event of engine failure of the ute, so you have now no hydraulic power from the engine, we can use the emergency pump. The emergency pump here, you select which function. This function we're going to do is to retract the boom, then apply your emergency pump while also activating your dead man, and it should retract the boom. 30 seconds on, 30 seconds off for cooling. In the event of loss of controls from the lower controls and the bucket controls, where we're going to have to use manual overrides, we can take this cover off here. In here it has the instructions to do a manual recovery. This is the valve bank we need here, which is situated here to recover the boom, and this one here actually recovers the legs and the axle lock. I'll explain now how we can do a boom recovery. Now the engine is still running. If the engine wasn't running, we can still do the same procedure using the emergency pump, but we need to have a hydraulic supply. So it can either be for the emergency pump down here or with the engine running. Luckily, our engine is still running. First thing I have to do is activate this by pushing it in a quarter of a turn and then turning it. This activates the boom controls. So push that in and turn it. You will hear an activation of hydraulic oil. These controls around here, you have proportional controls in the middle with the nailed nuts on them. This one controls this side of the valve bank, which in this case is just your boom rotation and your fly jib. So if I want to recover my fly jib, I will pull this one out. Pull this one out, which is on the other side, and then start to wind this one in, and you'll see that the fly jib will start to come down the more I screw in the proportional valve until it's all the way down. Then I can release that and unscrew it back to the off position, releasing this. I want to lower my boom. I look at my decals here. This one is boom raise, so the opposite side is going to be boom lower. They all have the decals on them. This is a proportional valve which controls all the speed of these valves. So I'm going to pull on this one, and I'm going to start screwing this one in until my boom starts to lower. You can see it here, it activate. The faster I screw it in, the quicker it will lower. Making sure that it's in line. I know this one is. Until it hits, then I can release the spool and then return the proportional valve all the way out again. This is a boom recovery. After I finish the boom recovery, you must always unrelease that, and now the hydraulic pressure is gone. We can do exactly the same on the other side with a leg recovery. To recover the legs, again, you initially have to press this spool, which is the opposite side to the boom spool. So you press that and turn it a quarter of a turn. Now I'm activated on my legs and outriggers. You have 3 buttons here. This one should be my axle lock, which is now unlocked. These 2 are for my left and right outriggers. these will only retract the outriggers. This one is for my passenger side, and that retracts that outrigger. Soon as it's all completed, remove this back to the neutral position. Done. Finished my operation for the day. I'm now going to carry out a post check. I'm going to check exactly the same as what I did before, making sure there's no more damage or any damage occurred while I was using it. So start on with front wheel again. Tire pressures, everything seems fine, no damage to the wheel. Walk around here. I'm going to pick up objects as I go along, checking my bolts, nothing's moved, there's been no damage to this leg. My hydraulic oil, nothing leaking out, so that's still good. Pick up my stabilizer pad, put this away, make sure my toolbox is all nice and secure, closed up, picked up my tools, take away my wheel chocks, place these away. Checking the rear wheel, making sure this is no damage, not flat, still inflated. The wheel's okay still. Critical bolts, nothing's moved. Come around the back here. I didn't hit anything with my bucket, so there's no damage to my bucket. My door, my basket is empty. You should never travel with anything in your basket, just in case of loss or falling out into the traffic. Make sure that it closes. It's always good practice to close up my control cover so we don't get moisture or rain if it's left outside. Looking around here, no damage. Toolbox is nice and secure. I've put my step away in my toolbox and collected my earthing spike. All my bolts are still aligned. Pick up my wheel chocks, place them away. Rear wheel still inflated, no damage to the wheel rim. Again, the bolts inside there, they're all aligned still. Put my stabilizer pad away. Secure fire extinguisher. I've left nothing on the deck, sorry, so it can fall off. Keys all nice and secure. Working around this way. No leaks or anything around the stabilizer leg. Bolts okay. Front wheel still inflated. No damage to the wheel rim. And my PTO is still engaged because my flashing lights are on, so I shall make sure that I disengage that before driving. This has a safety feature on this one anyway. If I remove the handbrake, my PTO will disengage and my engine will stop. In the service manual, section 4, you'll find the maintenance and inspection. It tells you, goes through all the maintenance which you'll be carrying out. 30 days, 3 months, 3 months or 250 hours. It goes all through different checks. It's very good to read this. Tells you where the greasing points are. Needs very little greasing actually, just basically around the slew gear. All the other bearings are self-lubricating, low friction bushes, and they're also insulating bushes, so they shouldn't take any grease. So then it tells you about your first year, torquing procedures, grades of oil you should be doing, etc, etc. So critical fasteners which you should be checking daily and weekly. So it's very good to have a read through this service manual just to get your maintenance schedules up to date.